Welcome. I am marketing expert and business coach Melissa Kellogg-Lewick, and this is the Doing Business Like a Woman podcast, where we are exploring and teaching you how women are reinventing the way business is done and money is made to help you create greater impact and financial freedom, one business at a time. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for being here with us today. I am so excited to introduce my guest today. We have Ann Bennett, and we're going to be talking all about entrepreneurship and having fun and mindset and being an entrepreneur in midlife and all the fun things. And Ann is a brand profit builder. And I'm going to ask you, Ann, to introduce yourself, but tell us more about what that means. And I would love to hear your story, how you got to where you are, and share it all with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks for having me. I think, brand profit building is about looking at not just, people think of a brand as like, it's a set of colors or some photographs or something like that. It's actually a feeling. Brand is a feeling. How you make other people feel and all of the elements that go into it, typeface or what you're going to say. I help my clients write head whipping hooks and titles and things to stand out and be different using their personalities. And we can get into that. But yeah, I have these archetypes that I developed, renegade archetypes. You're either a nurturer, disruptor, innovator, or a geek. And those help people to just center in on what are they truly like. And mostly we were always this way. When we were children, we came into the world. If you have kids, each one of your children is different. They got the same parents. It's like, where did you come from? At least that's how I was in my family, right? Yeah. I was with all the feelings and caring about everything and what was going on in the world. And the rest of my family was like, yeah, she's the overly sensitive one. She's the one that, I don't know. She always makes it really hard. They had all these things made up about me, and for me, I have a background in 25 years of magazine art direction and design. I've worked with everyone. I was the first woman in the art department at Popular Mechanics.
Oh, wow.
Only one to work at Vogue magazine with no fashion in her portfolio. So I know a lot about how to construct a story, how to stand out, how to be different, even when, there's a lot of designers. There's a lot of people going for the same jobs, or now as entrepreneurs, there's a lot of us that do the same thing. But how do you distinguish yourself? What is it that really makes you different? Because as human beings, we're all the same, essentially. We have the same wants, needs, and desires. But as individuals, it's our point of view. It's what I say, what breaks your heart and what pisses you off. These are the things that become super important when you want other people to be enrolled in what it is you're doing. And I do that through branding and messaging, and you do marketing. There's all these different ways to get there. And the foundation to it all is really, who are you? What is that 1% that you do, how you do it, that's distinctly yours that nobody else can really do?
Yeah.
In that way that you do it.
Yeah. And I think that's so interesting because we obviously as individuals have all been with ourselves for all these years. And so sometimes it's hard to see that, like, I hear that a lot. Like, there's nothing different about me. Like, I'm not unique. I don't have any unique stance on
story.
Yeah.
A client recently was like, well, I don't have any stories. I'm like, oh yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I'll just say to them, remember your first kiss? And they go, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember what I was wearing. I remember what boy or what girl I was kissing, their name. all this stuff. Or, first day of school, first, it's really defining moments that,
Mm-hmm.
that stick out in memory, right? So that's why in branding and messaging, you want to be a defining moment for someone else.
Mm.
Interrupt the way they think in order to create an experience, a feeling that's different than how kind of the status quo, at least in my opinion. You need to be a little bit of a disruptor
Yeah.
in the marketplace.
Yeah. I love that. So do you want to talk about the 4 archetypes now?
Yeah.
I would love
Oh,
that.
yeah. I want to give everybody, the archetype quiz so they can take it and really
Oh,
see
yes.
where
That'd
they
be
fall.
great.
So I'll give you the link for that.
Okay.
But so you're a nurturer, disruptor, innovator, or a geek. And I just call these, they're iconic personality styles. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people get hung up with like, well, I'm not one thing and I'm all these things. That's great. But when you're branding, you want to be one thing
Mm-hmm.
until you have a very, very strong brand.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have a really, really strong brand, then you can go off and do whatever you bring your tribe with you, so to speak, bring your people. But to start, you want to dial in on something that's authentic for you. So in
Mm-hmm.
these 4 styles, the nurturer is somebody like, you walk into a room and you meet someone and all of a sudden they're your BFF. You feel like you've known them for a really long time. They're usually spiritual, they're really kind, they're very community oriented. They're usually pretty good listeners. Doesn't matter if they're introvert or extrovert. I like to use Oprah as an example. We all
Mm.
feel like, oh yeah, we know Oprah. She knows us. She understands us, but not many of us have been to her house for breakfast.
Yeah.
But we feel that feeling, right? So that's kind of the nurturer. And it doesn't matter if you're a healer or you're, marketer, doesn't really matter, because some people say, oh, well, I'm just a nurturer. I know I'm a nurturer. I'm a nurturer. They take the quiz. They're a geek.
That's funny.
Really fun. It's very fun. So then you have the disruptor. They're the kind of person who, they have a point of view. They're bold. They're brassy. They usually love to upset the status quo. Kind of like me. I fall into the disruptor category. You know,
Shocker.
Yeah, right. Saying something that gets people to go, you know, they
Yeah.
see things a little bit differently, and that's just their personality type. Then
Mm-hmm.
you have the innovator, they're also very creative, but they're more like they see the future and they bring
Mm.
it into the present.
Mm-hmm.
Create things. I always like to use Steve Jobs because, Steve was understated and kind of like, just reach into his pocket and pull a little,
iPhone out.
pull a pot, pull something that'd blow your mind, right? You
Yeah.
just wait to see what was in the guy's pocket. Like that, where like someone like Elon Musk is definitely a disruptor, right?
Yeah.
They're doing similar things but the way they do it is what
Mm-hmm.
makes the distinction. And then there's the geeks, my favorite, people with a blueprint and a roadmap for everything. They love to chart. They love to have folders. I had a friend recently that I just met, and she's like, oh yeah, I have a folder for that. She just opened it. She'd have like 60 folders laying down the side of her computer. Oh yeah, I have a folder for when I go to Paris. I have a folder when I go to Barcelona. She had her whole travel plans all worked out in these folders. And that's definitely more of the geek style personality.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of that as like Ellen DeGeneres or Ruth Bader Ginsburg or any of the people that that really systems is that's their juice, that's their point of view, that's how they run their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the personality styles, and when you can see which one you are, I have a very simple question, 9 questions, and in 3 minutes, you'll get a printout of, what you should be like on stage in your presentations, what your messaging should sound like, what your program should sound like. And of course, always Achilles heel.
Oh, interesting.
The one thing that's really prominent that might be a little bit of an Achilles heel for you. So it's a really great place to start. And then when I work with my clients, we start there and we start to build out, what is the brand going to look like visually, verbally? What is the messaging going to be like? How can they sound different than someone? Because we all really have our own language that we speak in. I know from a marketing perspective, it's like, speak in your client's language, say what your client says, which is great. From a branding point of view, it's a combination.
Yeah.
But from branding to stand out, you actually want to speak a language that's like, it's a little bit like a dog whistle, only dogs can hear it.
Yeah.
So only your clients are going to go, oh my God, what is that? That's so interesting. I never heard it that way. Let me lean in and find out more about what this person does.
Yeah. And I think that's so interesting, especially obviously on this podcast and the work that I do. I work with women. And so there can be a lot of discomfort behind leaning in. We're taught like, well, like you said, like, let's study our clients and what are the words that they use, the language that they use. And yes, we incorporate that, but also this idea really that you're talking about really requires us to get to know ourselves, right? And to really lean in and pull out those pieces of us that are really our truest selves and using that to communicate. And I think it can be very uncomfortable, right? Because we're not really.
Are we in the business of being comfortable?
I know, right?
Entrepreneurship is uncomfortable.
Yes.
Work is uncomfortable. Living is uncomfortable. It's funny because we do that. Exactly what you're saying is so true. Oh, let me be smaller so I can be comfortable.
Yeah. It's scary to stand out.
Yeah. It's like, that's the way we were taught, right? Yeah. Women. I don't think that men have that. It's kind of the opposite.
Correct. Yeah.
Men are like, they're like kind of going on that way. But women, it's different. And I agree. It's like, we're brilliant as children, as little kids, before we go off to school and we soak in everything in our environment. Everything we do is perfect. We're laughing, we're crying, we're pooping, we're doing all this stuff, and everyone thinks it's great, right? Oh, look at that. They're all encouraging. Then we go off to school and it's like, sit up, show up, put your pencil at the top of the page, that kind of thing. Yeah. And behave. Basically behave. Basically.
Don't be different. Don't stand out. Don't make noise when no one else is making noise.
Right. Time, be quiet. It's a very stifling in a certain way. And this is around us everywhere in every aspect. All of us have been trained within our cultures, within our religions, with, this is the right way, this is the wrong way.
Yeah.
To do something. So yes, it is uncomfortable in that way. It's a breakdown of being able to really look at what makes you great, what makes you interesting to someone else. And we can't see our own eyebrows.
Right.
It's hard to do it, on your own. And obviously much better to work with someone like me that's listening and watching and looking from a different perspective.
Yeah. And I think, I can just speak from my own experience. One of the reasons why I started my own business was because my experience in corporate was, I was always a standout, always a leader. And what that brought to me was either from the women, they tried to smush me, and the men tried to bed me down. Right. So it's like, it was standing out and being different was always very uncomfortable in that regard for me, because it created unwanted attention. So I really had to work on that a lot as a mindset shift. So maybe let's talk a little bit about mindset and how that plays into, what we're thinking. I think of mindset as a collection of our thoughts, right? It's just a collection of thoughts. And so what kind of thinking do we need to be developing and practicing in order to step into this uniqueness and this brand? Because we're deciding, I love how you say that your brand is simply what is the feeling that you want people to have when they interact with you in your business. I love that. So
it's definitely a feeling. And then, it's not to make it complicated, but then it's a positioning,
yeah,
that you're positioned a certain way in the marketplace. But I think to get to your question about mindset,
yeah,
it's, gosh, it's got to be the most challenging thing ever. And I just heard something that I freaking loved from Marie Forleo, somebody I really like. And she was saying the simplest way to interrupt. So we all have patterns. We all have things we've said to ourselves over and over. I think I was sharing with you about my family, and they think I was the sensitive one, or I need to be taken care of, or those kinds of attitudes, right? And we take these on.
Yeah.
And they go in our subconscious mind, and we don't realize they're actually driving a lot of our results. So one of the things that Marie was saying was, I don't do overwhelm. She goes, I just tell myself every single day, I don't do overwhelm. I don't do that. So it's kind of like, to change behavior, from my point of view, you have to interrupt the pattern that's creating the behavior.
The thinking pattern. Yeah.
That pattern that goes, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not smart enough. I have a line on my website that says, it's not that you're not smart enough, techie enough, or pretty enough. It's that you are not you enough.
That's good.
So it's a different kind of take on that, but we all have these limiting thoughts that we've carried since childhood.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, it's time to be responsible.
Yeah.
It's going and how it's not going, because it's all going the way you want it to go. So you got to kind of interrupt this and go, because I think to myself a lot, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know if most entrepreneurs are kind of like that. Oh, there's so many things to do. Get it all done. Or, it's work, 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 work. That's because I like to say, the more fun I have, the more money I make, because I'm more relaxed, not so much work.
Yeah, that work energy.
Work hard. If I work hard and I do all the things the right way, I will get the result. Not necessarily, in fact,
right?
The opposite, almost the opposite. So it's the mindset that we're trained in. My parents were from the Depression, and so their work ethic was very much like, you work hard, and that's how you make money, and that's how you get ahead. That's the form, right? That's how it works.
The formula. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that you don't work hard, but it's more like, could you have fun and do the work? Can you enjoy it and, love what you do and make a really great business? It's kind of like, it's not one thing or another. So it's really a reframing and allowing yourself to think differently about something.
Yeah.
Instead of it being a frustration.
Yeah. And I think that is one piece that we as women have really brought to the entrepreneurship space, to the economy, is that idea that there is more both and it doesn't always have to be the either or, right? Like, we are so much more holistic in the way that we approach our businesses and thinking about our lives and our businesses, that everything is, working together and collaborating and cooperating, and that, we can
that's
have.
why women do so well in the entrepreneurial space. I often say mothers can run a small country.
Right. Well, they already do, right?
They do already, but you don't usually think of that. You just think,
Right.
oh, kids, and they're going to school. I got my spouse, and I'm taking care of that. And I'm like,
and they're like, I'm just a mom.
Yeah. Like,
Just
are
a
you
mom.
kidding me? Are you kidding me? So, I think that we have a tendency as women to underplay our accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time to, I always tell my clients, go ahead and brag. Go ahead and talk about yourself. Go ahead and tell people things that you've done. We have a tendency to only celebrate super big things, not little things.
Yeah.
And all of that works on your attitude about what it is you do. If you're grinding it out every day, you will burn out and end up like many of us, with health issues.
Yeah.
That's just that's just what happens. So you want to really look at, I don't really believe in balance in that way, but I believe for me, what works for me is short spurts of intense work and then time down, and then short spurts of intense work.
Is that short spurts in terms of like hours in the day, or short spurts in terms of multiple days and then multiple days off? Or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's more like work hard for 2 weeks, celebrate.
Nice.
You should celebrate every day, but I think for me, it's just my pattern. It's just how I work. Other people, they're like consistently doing one every day. It's really easy for them. They're very consistent. I am not that person.
Yeah.
So it's really looking at, how do you work best? What works for you? I mean, when I work with my clients, I'm not telling them how to work. I'm saying, look at what you love to do and what's easiest for you, and work there.
Yeah.
Why go off and try to, everything? And, I get it. Social media and all that stuff, you got to be consistent. It's a consistent game. But so just do it all at once. In my world, just book it all in a day or book it all in a week and then be done.
Yeah, it's funny because we think about, and this is how we're socialized, I guess, is that we think about, well, we have to do it the quote unquote right way, or the way that everybody out there is doing it, men included, right? But what if we think about, maybe I'm not wrong the way I want to do it, and try it, like maybe I'm right the way I want to do it, and try it and see what happens.
Yeah, I always say, does it feel good?
So let's talk about that. Like you say, the more fun I have, the more money I make. So tell me more about that. How did you come upon that, coming from the family of origin that you did, that was work hard, make money?
Yeah. I mean, my parents were raised in families where they were in complete survival. They didn't have anything, and as human being, we come from that point of view anyway, mind in our brains. But I think, like when I first started out, I went to this billionaire mentor, woman billionaire, and she said to me, Ann, do you want to make money, or do you want to have fun? And I said, can't we do both? It was like she had this that was her way, and that's all right.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. It's uber successful, whatever. It's just not my way. I've always wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I can't have fun and make money. I love making money. It's super fun.
Yeah.
So it's not, it doesn't have to be separate, I guess.
Hmm.
And I think that's a very, when we're talking about how men and women do business,
Hmm.
women do have a tendency to be very inclusive about
Hmm.
things.
Hmm.
I mean, I've seen $1 million business women with their kids on their lap doing a webinar.
Hmm.
Who says you can't?
Yeah.
Or who says you can't take your kids with you? I just watched a documentary on Pink, and she has her kids on, world tour with her. Who says you can't be a good mom and be a rock star and take, change the structure? I guess that's where my disruptor part comes in. It's like,
Yeah.
do it your way. Do it the way that you love to do it. Some of the moms I've worked with, they carve out time when kids are napping, kids are sleeping.
Hmm.
It's early in the morning, late at night, whatever. Those things work for them.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So what are some ways that you have fun in your business or incorporate more fun into the work you're doing?
I think marketing is fun.
Yeah.
You know, to me, the creative marketing, the things that you can do now with marketing is crazy fun. It's, I shoot car wash coaching. Like I'm getting my car washed and I'm doing a coaching tip because it's fun.
Yeah.
Or like one of my first lives I shot in the shower about, and it got like something crazy, like 800 views. I mean, I don't really understand social media, truthfully, but everybody wanted to watch me in the shower. And, just up to here, you know, PG, but the shower was on and I
That's fun.
was naked and I was certainly not going to drop the camera. But I think maybe they were waiting for that. But, that kind of stuff to me is very fun. And then, of
Mhm.
course, there's a place for doing standard, tips and being more structured in what you do as well. All of
Mhm.
it is fun. I have a tendency to like to do kind of goofy things because I just think it's fun and funny, and I have a sense of humor about everything. And where other people are, oh no, I can't let people see that. So I do encourage my clients to be a little quirky and allow people into their personal lives or into things that they don't normally share business wise,
Yeah.
because it allows for human connection. We all
Mm.
want to be connected with each other.
Hmm.
We want to know each other. We want to see you not only as the professional expert that you are, but also things that you like to do when you're not, you know, doing what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some of the things that you like to do?
Pickleball.
Oh, me too. I'm totally into pickleball. We just started playing over spring break last month. We were visiting my in-laws and my mother-in-law taught us how to play pickleball. And so we've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, it's the game that gets you going. I think this is why I think it does. I think it's you are now 5 years old and you're back going outside to play with all the other kids.
Yeah.
A game, and you're playing a game and you're having fun. And yeah, if you win, that's really awesome, of course, always. But it's not about that. It's merely about being with each other.
The social. Yeah.
And that's why I think that game is so popular. I started during COVID because
Oh, wow.
I was so lonely and I don't have animals to live with and I don't have a spouse or a partner to live with. So I was like, I got to go out and play. I got to get out of here. Like, how do I get out and do something? Right.
Hmm.
And so I started playing. And now it's really So much fun. I've shot branding ideas on the pickleball court. Like have people film me playing pickleball, and then I'll talk about, well, how is pickleball like branding or marketing? What can you use? So I like to use kind of things that connect the dots in a different way.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah.
Because everything that we do, I'm a real inclusive person. Everything that we do reflects everything else that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all business or it's all marketing if you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, it's not as separate, like now I have to go shoot marketing videos.
Mm-hmm.
You want to bring it closer to who you are and what you do.
I love that. Yeah. So what are some of the lessons you've learned about entrepreneurship or branding from pickleball?
First of all, it's a team sport. You
Amen.
can play it by yourself, but it's not as much fun.
Yeah.
Unless you're a professional. But I mean, as you go out to play, you play with other people. And there's a parameter that you play in, right? So it's like marketing in a sense of like you're testing things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is this like you're changing up how you play? You got longer shots, you've got little dinking shots. All of it's great. And it builds on itself in order to actually win the game.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, it's a lot like branding and messaging.
There's
and
no one perfect shot.
Well, the one perfect shot is the one that gets you the result you want, which is you get a point, right? Or you keep your opponents from gaining points, right?
Yeah.
So, but for branding, it's more like, there's a way to play and you can modify everything to how you play. So somebody told me the other day, she was watching me play. She goes, I've never seen anybody hold the paddle like you do.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, this is how I feel comfortable. So I grip my paddle and then I loosen it. So I grip it up really towards not right on the handle, but towards the front of the paddle.
Okay. You choke up on the handle?
Yeah. So
Okay.
really choked up, and I'll like hit from there or I'll serve from there. It depends on what kind of serve I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then, if I'm going for the ball and it's a short shot, I'll like move my hand way back. So I extend my help because I'm not that tall, or that, some people I play with are, above, 5'8".
Yeah.
They have a little bit bigger wingspan than I do. I'm very quick. So I play the game a little bit differently.
That's fun.
Than my partner. And branding's like that too. It's like, play your game. Even in business building, okay? Play your game. Whatever that is, because that's going to be the most effective for you. We're always looking at other people and how they're doing, what is their marketing strategy or what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, but playing your own game is better.
Yeah. Yeah. So why do you think like the energy of play and the energy of having fun makes money?
I think because you're not attached to it.
Mm.
I mean, play, you're just having fun. All of a sudden I'm in business. Oh my God. That's all serious, right? Oh my God, I have to look like I know what I'm doing, especially when you're starting out, It's like the more successful I got, the less I needed to do that. And I could say to people, look, I fail, 80% of the time. And I'm making six figures. It's okay. It's kind of how it is when you're really stretching.
Yeah.
They all think, oh, I have to do this right. I have to do it perfectly, or I'm not going to do it at all. And I'm like, good luck with that.
Right. You're not going to be doing much of anything.
Wait until you're sure it's going to work. And we know, as you and I both know in marketing, sometimes you're surprised.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I love it. So how can we keep in touch with you and follow what you're doing? And tell us what you're up to now or what's coming up for you.
My website is Ann Bennett Marketing. I like to make it really clear and simple and easy.
Perfect.
Ann Bennett Marketing. You can go over, there's lots of freebies and fun things to help you move yourself along at whatever level you're at.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give everybody the archetype quiz so they can find out their archetype and they can start there. I just launched a program, but we'll be doing it again, called Rebel Brand Formula, which is all messaging. It's
Nice.
How do I talk about myself? What do I say that's a little bit different than other people? How do I create head whipping hooks for my business? Sound bites, things that really help you stand out and be different.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, we all need that for sure. Awesome. Well, it's so great to have you here. Thank you so much for your time. And we will keep in touch and, get our brand archetypes done. That's going to be so fun. So thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
If you like this podcast, then you have got to sign up for my free on-demand video training, Grow Your Sales Doing What You Love, where I teach you in depth my simple process that you can implement right away to harness your mindset and your skills to grow your sales to whatever level you want. So go grab that now. The link is in the show notes, and I'll see you next time.